All right, so for this part of the video, we're going to walk you through everything about the remote and what the buttons are and what they do and how to use them. And so for the purposes of this, I'm not doing a screen capture because I don't have screen capture software on this because I do not want to take a chance on causing any kind of issues. But for more lengthy videos where we're showing a lot of the use of the software, it will be done on a simulation via screen capture, so you get a better look at it. But I just wanted to show you that on the screen here, you've got this part of the screen, and a lot of the functions shown there are mirrored here. And so you can use the screen with the mouse, or you can use the remote to change a lot of this and do a lot of the navigation. For the purposes of what we're doing here, I'm going to show you this little rectangle. It's just a 2x6 rectangle that we're going to cut out of some scrap. And to do that, I'm just going to walk you through the remote and what to look for and how to use it. Okay, so here we've got the remote, and these buttons right here are going to be the jog navigation buttons, and the orientation is going to be when you're standing at the front of your machine, you want to be facing the machine, and everything will line up from there. So this button here will go back, and this button will go to the right, and so forth. So that's pretty easy to do. The actual speed that it's jogging at is controllable on that panel I just showed you. You can change how fast it's jogging at. Now the jog itself, you have 3 different speeds you can jog at. So this one here would be the normal jog speed. And as you get close to where you want to jog it to, that's going to be the speed you want to use. If you wanted to jog this thing all the way back to the back of the machine for whatever reason, you would hold down the fast, and while you have that held down, you see the lights on there. Then you jog from there. So if you see this, see how much faster it goes, and right and left. Whoops. And so also on the screen you see Z up and Z down. And let me open the cabinet here. You can see that. So it's the same with this. You can see it's slow jogging down. And if we hold down the fast and Z down, see it comes down a lot faster. So if you want, a common button that I use all the time is this follow button right here. And what that does is drops the torch down, or the laser head down, and turns on THC, so that it's actually at the cut height. So if you hit the follow button, I'm gonna jog the Z back up real quick just so you get the full look at it. So if you hit the follow button, and if you saw that, and if you hit the follow button again, and sorry, it's this camera will focus on one thing at a time. So if I have this in the focus, whatever else is blurred, and if you remove that, the blur goes away on that. So just bear with me. But this follow, once you bring that down, the height sensing is actually on now. And if you notice, if I move this plate around, you can see the head moving up and down with it. And if you touch it to it and just do it real fast to get it to touch it, it'll air out and retract all the way. But no problem on that. So like when you're getting ready to cut something, you want to bring your follow button down, and now you can, jog to the X0, Y0 position, which is on this machine is going to be in this left corner. So from here, if you want to jog to the corner to get ready to cut something in that, you can just jog until you're there, So we're pretty close in the corner there now. And if you really wanted to dial it in and get it in the corner, I wanted to show you this last part of the navigation, which is the step. And again, you can adjust the increments of the step in the software. But so if you hold down step, you get these really small increments, so you can really dial it in and get it, like right in the corner of where you want to cut. All right. And so from there, when you're ready to cut, you can frame out the cut to see if it's going to fit where you want it to fit. Now, what I do with that is raise up the Z just a tiny bit and then hit the frame button. Because if you accidentally frame it with the THC on, so like in other words, if you go follow where the THC is now on and it's actually riding up and down with the sheet, and you run it off the edge of the sheet, it will drag your, the THC is going to dip down as soon as it goes off the edge of the sheet. So you want to have this up a little bit. When you raise that up, it turns off THC. So we'll hit frame, and it's framing out our cut. And if you, I'm going to show you on the screen here again, maybe try to get all of it in camera. So this is what we're looking at on the screen. And you can see the crosshairs are down there in the bottom left-hand corner. And if I frame this out here, you'll notice on the screen it'll frame it as well. So it's showing you what you're cutting, and you know where you're at on the table. And on this, if you zoom out using the scroll wheel on the mouse, you can see the drawing board or the sheet in white is the cutting area. And you can see kind of where we are on the cutting area. And that's assuming that you've homed the machine. And I'll show you the homing process in a different video. For now, I just want to show you about the remote control. Okay, these buttons here are for the rotary tube cutter. So if your machine's got a rotary tube cutter, and it's not active in the plate cutting software, so those don't really do anything at this point. So that kind of covers everything down in this area. Now up here, there's other buttons that we can look at. So I'm going to go over here and turn the gas on. I don't have it on right now, but I'm going to go turn it on. So we have the gas on now. And the one thing you can do to verify that you have the gas on is if you see this blow button right there, that'll enable the solenoid or activate the solenoid, or at least on this machine it will, and verify that your gas is on and flowing. You hear that? And it's not a bad idea to purge it if you haven't had it on, and that way you've got good airflow all the way through. All right. So that covers the blow button. We talked about the follow button and the shutter button. Let me show you a little about that. I'm going to bring you in there close so we can see this better. When you boot the machine up, the shutter is off by default. You can always tell when the shutter is on. Let me move this over a little bit where we can see. All right, I have the water chiller off and the laser off. So without the laser on, you won't get the shutter. So we're gonna turn the laser on, and in this machine here, the laser's down there, and you see I just powered it on. We got the green light, so we should have a shutter button. If you ever don't have your shutter light showing there, like I just tried to show you, you can see it's on there now. And that's this is a toggle, so when this is on, it will not cut. But you get that guide there, laser pointer that's dead in the center that you can use to really, dial in your, where you have it positioned, and use your step and all that. If you wanted to get that like dead in the corner, you could use your step that I just showed you a minute ago to get it there. But before you get ready to cut, you want to hit the shutter button. And if you notice here, let me get it really close where you can see it. See both of them at the same time. So there's the shutter button. And if I turn that off, now it'll actually cut. If you try to cut with it right there, well, we'll just do it. You know, we'll just still go start it and you'll see what happens. You hear the gas running, but no actual cutting is happening. So we're just going to pause this, and that'll let us look at the pause command as well. So when you're in the middle of a cut, for any reason, whether you do something like that, whether you've got a tip up or, you know, something's not cutting right or whatever, you never want to hit stop. If you hit stop, that will end the program, and trying to recover after you've hit stop is pretty tricky. Ask me. I know I've accidentally hit stop many times in the middle of the program and was not able to recover. So you want to hit pause like I did just right there. And if you notice on the screen here, it's paused right in the middle of it. And you see that the resume button is lit up. And in this case, you could hit resume, or you could just hit start again on the remote. And it'll pick right up. So if you clear your tip up, or if it's got an error message or whatever, you clear that out of the way, and then you hit resume or on the screen, or start here to restart it. And you see it's going again. We're running I didn't change this is going way too slow for this thickness of material. I didn't actually set it for the right material thickness, but I'm just showing you that. You get the idea. So once you get that cut, you can come on the screen here and return it back to 0. So let me show you that. And I'm just gonna try to get both of them in the screen at the same time. So we're gonna hit return to 0. So it's back at the 0 point. So now, if I hit the follow button to bring that down and then raise it up a little bit where we can see what's happening, you can see that the shutter button is on. So if you wanted to cut this for sure, once you get it aligned, you want to hit the shutter button like I just did there, and you notice the light's off. Shutter on, shutter off. You'll get used to it. First few times you cut, you're going to cut with a shutter on, and you'll be like, dang it. You know, just return it back to 0, turn the shutter off, and hit the button. Let me get I'll give you a little preview here, although I'm going to show this in a lot more detail. So to get this, that was, I think 1/4 inch plate was what I cut last. You can see a very slow cut speed there. To load in a different set of parameters, you want to go to the open folder. It's going to give you a message warning you that it's going to override everything. And this is some 16 gauge cold roll that we're going to cut with oxygen. So I'm going to scroll down and find my file for that right here. I got a couple of different ones. Let's take a look at this one. Yeah, that is not the one. I've accidentally overwrote that one at one point. So let's go down and use the one just below it. So 16 gauge oxygen 1-5 means a 1.5 tip, and I'm going to open that one. So that's the one we want to cut with, 220 inches a minute. And now if we let me show you this. So you can do a dry cut here where you just hit that button and it'll go through the motions of the actual cut, not just frame it out. Now in this case, the frame and the dry cut's going to be the same because we just have a rectangle. But if you had an actual drawing, it'll go through the motions of cutting your drawing. But we'll hit dry cut just to show you that. So now that's actually going at the real cutting speed that we have set up. And then the frame, let's return it to 0. If you notice, the frame is going to go a lot faster because it's framing it at the fast jog speed. Okay, so that's the difference there. So we've covered that. We've covered blow, follow, shutter. Aiming I've never used. Now, backwards and forwards will, if you're in the middle of a cut and let's just cut it, and then let me pause it in the middle and show you the backward and forward, and also show you the pause, mid cut there on it. All right, so now we're gonna to cut that rectangle out. I'm gonna hit the start button here, and in the middle of it, I'm gonna stop it by hitting the pause button, and then show you how to resume it and show you how to back up or whatever. So we're gonna go ahead and hit that, and we got the shutter off, so it should cut. So I'm gonna hit pause right there, and I'll take you in there close so we can take a look. Now, when you pause, the only thing about that is you can do lead-ins and lead-outs, which we're going to cover in other videos. And if you pause the machine, you no longer, and you got to restart it, you're going to lose your, cleanliness of the lead-in, because it's not going to have a lead-in. It's just going to re-pierce right there where it left off. Now, granted, it's going to pierce into an opening that's already open, so that does help. But you'll notice a little blemish of it. So if it were to, for whatever reason, cut too far ahead, and you need to back it up a tiny bit, or even back it up to a previous feature, like a hole that didn't get cut out or whatever, that's where this back and forward come in here. So if I hit back on it, you see it moved back a little bit, and if I hit forward, it'll take it there. And how far it's moving backwards and forward, is controllable in the software. You can set that on the screen there. So if I just wanted to back it up that far and have it restart right there, I just hit start again or resume on the screen. So we'll restart it and let it finish. I should have micro jointed that, but you see we got a nice cut there. Again, 16 cold rolls using oxygen. You're going to get a nicer cut with nitrogen on that material, but it does a nice job with oxygen as well. So that is, I think I've shown you pretty much it. The laser button will actually fire the laser without the cutting gas, and I don't think you really need that on a regular basis, except for when you're doing a tape shot, which is where you do your alignment right here of the laser beam. So if your laser gets out of alignment and starts, you start having poor cut quality, you will place a piece of clear packing tape over the edge, and then you'll fire the laser button here, and it'll fire through the tape, and you'll see the imprint of the outside of the nozzle and where the laser actually shot through the tape. And if it's not dead centered, you'll use that. So that's what that button is. Everything else I think we've talked about. And that covers everything on the remote. The one thing here, it does have an on and off. And I've had this for, 5 months now, and I've never turned it off. It's been on the whole time, and the batteries are still good in it. I've never had any issues with it. It's also magnetic on the backside. You see it wants to collect a lot of stuff on it, but that's nice because you can stick it anywhere. If you want to park it right there and keep it there, So that will conclude this part of the video, and there is your overview of the remote.